represent the city here today, and I do not confer with the city's code enforcement officers outside of the hearing process about your cases. It is my role to fairly and objectively review the matters presented. As such, I would like to advise you of certain matters related to today's proceedings. Today's matters will be heard in the order on which they appear on the agenda, unless otherwise agreed. Every effort will be made to hear all persons having relevant evidence, arguments, or comments related to the specific case that is being heard. If you wish to speak today, it is necessary that you be sworn in, which I will do momentarily. All testimony given will be done so under oath. In all cases, since the city has the burden of proof, the city will present its case first. The respondent will then be given an opportunity to refute the city's allegations. Formal rules of evidence do not apply to this proceeding. However, I will make every effort to ensure that fundamental fairness and due process is afforded to all parties. After hearing all relevant evidence, I will issue an order. The order will be reduced to writing, and all parties will be provided with a copy. So please ensure that we have your current address or email address. Additionally, you are advised that I do not have the authority to grant you a variance, permit, or special exception of any kind. My role is solely to determine whether a city code has been violated and, under some circumstances, to provide a reasonable time to correct the violation by whatever means are available to you. Please be advised that you may be subject to a fine, and a lien may be recorded on your property if the violation is not corrected by the compliance deadline, if one is provided. If you wish to present any evidence today, please sign in at the podium before you speak, and it will be necessary that you swear or affirm to tell the truth. Therefore, at this time, I will swear in any witnesses. Anyone in wishing to speak today, if you'll please stand and raise your right hand to be sworn. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
So sworn. All right, Mr. Dewar, do we have any changes to the agenda today?
Yes. Good morning, Madam Special Magistrate. Pete Dewar, Code Enforcement Manager for the City of St. Pete Beach. We have two changes to the agenda. Cases number 2025-0148 has been continued to April 14th, and 2025-0149 has also been continued to April 14th. Those are the only two changes.
Okay, and is that by agreement of the parties?
Yes, ma'am.
And you need an order on those as well?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. With that, we will proceed to agenda item 3A, case number 20240-287, City of St. Pete Beach versus Mr. Cudahy.
Good morning, Special Magistrate Louis Cruz representing the City of St. Pete Beach Code Enforcement. This is case number 2024-0287. This is a status hearing on a 30-day extension to secure an after-the-fact permit or remove the structure. Jamie, if you could put on the overhead for me, please. The property owner has removed the tiki hut and is now compliant. The city will not be asking for any fines, but will be asking for $329 for administrative costs.
Okay. Mr. Cudahy? Good morning, sir. Anything in response to what the city has said to this morning?
I don't understand why I'm going to pay $329. I don't have.
Okay. The $329, I believe, is for the administrative cost of having to bring this before the special magistrate, and you're saying at this point, and from what I can recall, you had substantial damage caused by the hurricanes. Is that correct?
I live in a building that's uninhabitable.
Okay.
I don't have the money.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Cudahy. I appreciate that. Anything in response from the city? Okay. I will find. Mr. Cruz, do you know what day the property came into compliance?
That was, I got an email from the property owner's daughter, so it wasn't the same day she emailed me, but this on here is February 28th, 2025.
Okay, thank you. All right, I am going to find that the property is now in compliance, and I am not going to assess any fines or any administrative costs. And I will get you an order to that effect. All right, moving on to case number 20240-494, City of St. Pete Beach versus Richard J. Jacobson and Richard W. Jacobson.
Good morning, Madam Magistrate. Steve Rivera on behalf of the City of St. Pete Beach Code Enforcement.
Apparently, we're installing drivers.
Just waiting on the PowerPoint.
No worries.
Here we go. Case number 202409494, respondent Richard J. Jacobson and Richard W. Jacobson. Violation address is 168 31st Ave. Violation description, the property is in violation of section 20.03, permitted principal uses and structures of the Land Development Code of the City of St. Pete Beach. Case summary, initial inspection was 8/30/2024. Notice of irreparable or irreversible violation dated 1/6/2025. Notice of hearing dated and posted to the property 1/16/2025. The following is a true and accurate representation of what I witnessed. This is the affidavit of posting. This is the Airbnb advertisement. So these are the reviews, and bear with me, the numbers go up, bottom to top. The first three are in green, showing that they're not in violation, but you can see there's June of 2024, June of 2024, July of 2024. And then number 4 starts the violations, July of 2024, July of 2024, August of 2024. And 7, 8, 9, August. It looked like there was 3 more in August. And you got 1 more in August, excuse me, and 3 in September. Corrective action. Property is permitted to have 3 short-term rentals within a 12-month time frame. Property is eligible for short-term rentals September of 2025. Recommended fine is $1,000 per review for 10 reviews, totaling $10,000 plus $330 for administrative costs and any recording fees associated with this case. And that concludes my presentation.
Anyone here on behalf of Mr. and Mr. Richardson, or Mr. Jacobson?
Yeah, Richard J. Jacobson.
Okay. Mr. Jacobson, if you could just state your name on the record, and you have an opportunity to rebut the city's evidence.
Yeah, I'm Richard J. Jacobson. I guess when we bought the house about 3 years ago, the intent was for my father to move into it. He since started developing signs of dementia and didn't want to leave his house, and we didn't want to force him into a new place. So we were put in a situation where we had to try and get some money out of this because we spent a lot of money on this house. And our payments are pretty good size, so we decided to rent it, not knowing that there was an ordinance against doing that. We just assumed that it was fine. We were trying to offset some of our expenses. Actually, if I didn't have a kid in school, my wife and I probably would have moved down here and done it, but we can't because of that. So we've now changed it to monthly rental, and haven't had any action with that yet, but are hoping to. I did speak with a guy yesterday that wants it for 5 months towards the end of the year.
Okay.
Other than that, that's why we did what we did. We didn't know.
Okay, and when did you say that you purchased the property?
It was in it'll be 3 years in May. And for the first 2 years we didn't rent. I was still trying to get him down here, and finally we had to do something. So actually everyone you see is everything that we've done.
Okay. And did you take any opportunity to inquire with the city prior to rentals or talk to any neighbors at all?
No, I saw people with signs up saying, house for rent or whatever along the boulevard, so I figured it must be okay.
Okay. And then when you received the notice of violation, did you contact the city at all?
Yeah, I called and spoke with the code enforcement gentleman, I guess.
With Mr. Rivera?
Yeah, and he told me that the infractions were caused by the Airbnb reviews. Well, a couple of those my wife and my sister actually put on there just to try and help the property rent, which probably was a little shady, but we did it.
Can you tell me which reviews those were?
I did write them down here. It was one from Travis was my sister. Elena was my sister. And my wife did one of them, I think. She did Robert.
You said Travis, that one is your sister.
Travis is my sister. Elena, is my
Elena.
sister, and my wife was Robert. So those three were,
And did any money exchange hands? Those weren't actual rentals, you're just saying those were fabricated reviews? Or
right. Well,
those?
my sister had actually stayed there. She stays there once in a while, checks in on the place, because, you know,
Okay,
we're not, you know, we live in Wisconsin.
okay, and did any money exchange hands for that rental?
My sister, no.
Okay.
I think she might have paid for the cleaning, but that would have been it.
Okay. Okay, anything further?
I did meet with a guy yesterday who was interested, like I told you, in
5 months.
And I'm not sure when that starts, but I guess 5 months doesn't matter, right?
No, according to the city's code, as long as it's over the 30 days, that's an appropriate rental period.
Okay, so I think that's really all I had.
Okay, all right, thank you. Anything further from the city?
Yes, ma'am.
It's the Airbnb review policy. I just wanted to point out, go ahead, please, where it says it's booked and paid for to leave a review.
Sure. Sure.
We did sustain a lot of damage from the hurricane too, and this came like 2 weeks after we'd finished repairing the place. I don't know if that factors into how you handle this, but we had a lot of work to do. We had to put in new floors, all new furniture, all new appliances. It was partially covered by insurance, but not, I mean, about 2/3 of it was covered.
Okay.
So
All right,
I don't know
thank
if
you
that
very
makes a
much.
difference, but I thought you should know.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Jacobson. I appreciate it. Okay. All right, I am going to find that the respondent is in violation of the stated code section. I am going to find that this type of violation is irreparable, irreversible, and I'm going to find that there were 7 rentals that were done understanding the Airbnb policy, but I find the respondent's testimony credible that even though there might have been a payment, there may not have been money that actually exchanged hands. With that, I am going to assess a fine. I am going to assess a fine of $500 per each of the rentals, and that is an equitable remedy specifically due to the sustaining of damage due to the hurricanes. And that's, I'm not going to apply this in every case, but just for reasoning, for purposes for the record, usually I will do the $1,000 that the city recommends based on the credible evidence of the respondent. In this case, you know, I've said this before and I'll say it again, negligence of the law is not an excuse of the law, but due to what a lot of residents and a lot of homeowners have gone through over the last couple months, I'm going to drop the $1,000 that I typically assess to $500 per each, as well as the $330 in administrative costs and the recording fee for the city. I did have a question on that. Any particular reason, Mr. Rivera, why the recording fee is broken out of the administrative costs fee?
So if they pay their fines or fees by a certain date, there is no recording fee. It's
Okay.
after the, I believe it's the 20-day time period where we have to record it with the county for the lien,
Sure.
and it's a cost to the city.
Okay. And do you know how much that recording cost is typically?
I think it varies between $18 and $22 roughly.
Ginny would know.
Ginny, do you know exactly how much it is?
There's a flat fee and then there's a per page fee.
Okay.
So
Understood.
Yeah.
So it's just for the, it's a fairly minimal amount.
Yes.
Okay. All right, no worries then. Okay, thank you very much, and I will get a written order to that effect. And Mr. Jacobson, just make sure we have your information so I can send that to you. Thank you.
Madam Magistrate, Pete Dewar,
Yes, Mr. Dewar.
that is 500 times 7, correct?
Correct.
Thank you, ma'am.
Moving on to agenda item 5A, case number 202500089, City of St. Pete Beach versus David J. Tucker.
Good morning, Special Magistrate. Ayaka Rakhtashel, representing City of St. Pete Beach, Code Enforcement. So this is case 2025-0089. The respondent is David J. Tucker, violation address 7605 Coquina Way. The violation description is the property is in violation of section 30.5, prohibited uses and structures of the Land Development Code of the City of St. Pete Beach. Case summary, the initial inspection was on the 31st of January, 2025. Notice of irreparable and irreversible violation dated on February 3rd, 25. Notices of hearing dated and posted on the property February 3rd, 2025. The following is a true and accurate description of what I've witnessed. Here is the affidavit of posting. Here is the Airbnb advertisements with the dates available for booking, short term. Let's get to the reviews. Here are the 3 reviews that fall within the previous 12-month period, from December 24, July 24, and October 2024. So the corrective action, the property is located in the TC1 zoning district and is only permitted to be rented on a monthly basis. There have been 3 short-term rentals, July, October, December 2024. This is prohibited. The recommended fine is $1,000 per review. There are 3 reviews, totaling $3,000, plus $330 for administrative costs, plus any recording fees associated with the case.
Okay, and I apologize. This is the first time I'm meeting you. Your name
Yes.
again was?
Ayako Rakhtashel.
Okay, thank you very much. And can you explain to me, you said that there are 3 reviews. How do you know that these are short-term rentals? I don't see in the reviews where it lists them as being short-term, and the dates are in 3 different months, far enough apart that they could have been for 30 days each.
So if we go back to the screen, it was allowing short-term, stayed for about a week, stayed for a few nights, stayed for about a week.
Okay, where?
Right next to.
Oh, in gray, sorry. Let's
Yes.
be clear, this is like the last week of my contacts, so they are failing me. Thank you for pointing that out. I appreciate that.
Okay?
Okay, very good. Anything else from the city?
No.
Perfect. All right, anyone here on behalf of the property owner, Mr. Tucker?
Morning, Your Honor.
Good morning. If you could state your name for the record, and then you have an opportunity to refute the city's allegations.
David J. Tucker.
Okay, Mr. Tucker, go ahead.
So we bought this house in April of 2021 and had our daughters on the other side of it. Then we approached a property manager once our daughters moved out to rent this, not necessarily short-term, but under the property manager's guidance, and that's MITS Properties here locally. So we're unaware of all the zoning laws around here. We put it up to MITS to take care of that for us, and then we get this notification in the mail about it. But I've got 2 pieces of paper here, if you'd like to see them.
What are the pieces of paper? If you want to submit it as evidence, by all means, please do.
I'd like to.
Okay, if you could show it to the code enforcement officer first so that he can see or she can see the,
This is who we go through for the property management.
Put it in the overhead, please. Jamie, can we get a close-up, please? Thank you.
okay. And then you said you had another one as well, Mr. Tucker?
Yes, this is St. Pete Beach Library, and it doesn't say anywhere on there about monthly rentals. And we're also dual zone, residential and commercial.
Okay.
And I don't know know the law in Florida, because again, I'm not, I'm a fairly new resident here, but I was my understanding that Governor DeSantis rescinded the monthly rentals due to the hurricanes.
35.
That is incorrect. Governor DeSantis, in his emergency order, he said that you could have reasonable restrictions on short-term rentals, but to try and open it up to people who are trying to rebuild different jurisdictions. So I've seen that around a lot. That is not what the executive order or the emergency order states.
So 2 of the rentals on there were appraisers or adjusters from out of state that came here. One was working with the Tropicana Field, and I don't know who the other guys were working with, but there was two different groups of adjusters that stayed over there. Would that not be considered part of?
You'd have to get me information on that, what they were doing here, who their contract was with. Just because they're appraisers or adjusters doesn't necessarily mean that they are here for restoration projects. I believe the emergency order was more along the lines of contractors, people actually working in the community trying to get that done. But if you have evidence to support who those people were, why they were here, I'm happy to accept that.
I don't have it with
Okay.
me.
I was going to say, I would, unfortunately, I would, for something that is an argument underneath the emergency order that is contrary to established law, then I would definitely need more concrete evidence in order to have that sway what my ruling would be on that.
Again,
But I will, of course, take it into consideration.
I didn't know the law pertaining to that down here.
Understood. Okay.
We also, right after Hurricane Helena during Hurricane Helena, had a couple from across the street, in the rental property across the street, got flooded out with their son. And we put them up for a week at no charge.
And that's fine. I don't think that's included in this. These are July, October, and December, I believe. And obviously, these were rentals because these people had left reviews.
Would the property manager not have some part of this, though? I mean,
That's between you and the property manager. So that the way that it works is a violator is considered whoever has violated the city's code. In this case, it could be the property owner, it could be the property manager, the city. I believe under the city's code, it's the property owner. The property owner is always responsible. So if you engage another service to handle that for you, you are responsible for how that service acts. So that's between you and the property management company. So however this flushes out based on the evidence presented here today, you can certainly talk to your property management company about what that might mean for them. So, but for our purposes under the law, a violator is the person 9 times out of 10 who owns the property. And so in that case, this is how the city has brought the case. And as I said with the last gentleman, ignorance of the law is not an excuse of the law. Understanding that you trusted a third party to handle this for you, you are responsible for your contract with the third party. Anything else that you'd like to present?
was there anything else?
It's been adjusted. I mean, it was not.
Oh, yeah, the timeframe on their website has been adjusted.
Adjusted, okay. So as soon as you learned from the city, you contacted them and it was remedied. Okay. All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Tucker. I appreciate it. Anything further from the city? Okay.
I think just for the record, this governor's executive order is referring to let's see. I think there's a DBPR.
Yeah, there was one about suspending DBPR licensing and fees for DBPR licensing.
DBPR order number 2024-09.
Correct. Yeah.
And that doesn't affect the city zoning.
It does not. No, I agree. That is correct. And I understand that there was a lot of in newspaper articles or media articles saying otherwise, but the law supersedes whatever the media decides it's going to report. You may, yes.
Going back to this, I mean, this is off of the local website here. In being zoned commercial and residential, it says on here, and it was one of the pieces that you laid up here a few minutes ago. Okay. It doesn't tell me anything about short-term rentals on there.
So that's correct. because the way that the code reads, excuse me, I'm about to sneeze.
Bless
The
you.
way that the code, thank you, the way that the code reads is that it is exclusive unless otherwise permitted, so prohibited unless otherwise permitted. The section that you were cited under is 30.5, which is prohibited uses and structures. So these are allowable conditional uses. You would have to get a conditional use permit in order to have any of these uses within that zoning district. And then 30.5 specifically states prohibited uses. You were cited under the prohibited uses section because it's not allowed conditionally, it's specifically prohibited.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Tucker. Anything further from the city?
No, thank you for explaining that zoning code.
Yeah.
I know we've been through it a bunch of times.
Yep.
Yeah, if it's not listed, then it's prohibited, and even if it is listed as a conditional use, you have to get a conditional.
You have to have permission, correct. Okay. All right, thank you very much. All right, I am going to find that the property was in violation of the stated code sections. I am going to find that there were 3 rentals. I am going to find that they were all short-term and otherwise prohibited in that zoning district. And I am going to assess the $1,000 for each one, along with the administrative costs and recording costs of the city. And understanding that is different from the last one, there was no evidence to support that there was any restoration efforts or what otherwise needed for this particular property due to either of the hurricanes. Okay. And I will get you a written order to that effect.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to,
Adjournment.
I think that's it now, we continue.
oh, wow. Well, that was short and
Yeah,
easy
short-
today. Okay.
short and sweet.
Moving on to adjournment. All right, thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful day. We are adjourned.
Thank you.